I haven't even inspected it, brother. Don't.
Wait.
What? I don't know. I wondered the same exact thing.
What the is that? What is going on, guys? We are back with another video with the Shelby GT500.
Oh, yeah.
We got the Master 5.4 expert right here, Cody. Get him all excited with another Trinity car build.
GT500 back at it again.
So, if you guys saw the last few videos, I got the car, dynoed it. It made 580 stock. It made 617 with a tune, which is right on par for a pretty mild tune. I mean, I didn't even lean on it hard. But this thing smokes a lot. And what's really perplexing to us is because it did smoke from fuel smoke because it was rich, but it also smokes from oil. And it'll not smoke on cold, and then it'll smoke when it gets warmed up, then it'll go away, and then you beat on it and it smokes out. We've kind of exhausted all the options. I pulled the lower intake out, I cleaned all that, I pulled the blower off, I did all that stuff. We deleted the catch can PCV system. The only other place it could be is valve seals or ring.
Cracked oil ring.
Yep.
I mean, I doubt it's an actual main ring without making a noise or.
Yeah, no, this thing definitely has all good compression. Some of you guys might be saying, well, why don't you compression test it, pull the plugs, borescope it? I mean, we were already planning to rod piston this thing anyways. Yeah. So at this rate, let's pull her apart, right?
Yep.
The engine bay is super dirty on this car. It's
one of the. Has not been cleaned.
It's one of the dirtiest like 5.8 cars I've actually ever seen. So this is all gonna get super clean when it goes back together. A little rod piston cam deal, you know. Try to keep a stock sleeve. The Shelby GT500 Nation is gonna like twitch right now hearing me say stock sleeve 5.8 build.
Yeah, I mean, as long as there's nothing wrong with scoring her into the cylinder wall or the plasma bore, then we're good to go. I mean, obviously there's been some stuff going on behind the scenes of like motor wise that we've been putting together, testing ourselves, doing on various cars. And so
yeah, who's building this puppy, dude?
We are.
That's it. You guys know El Chapo, the last rebuild, we kind of just got stuck in a really long process, and it really allowed Cody and I to just kind of figure out our shit and say, okay, well, we're going to build the motor, we're going to build the car, and we're going to tune it ourselves.
Yeah.
And then,
I mean, you take everybody out of the combination, you can pretty much, I've told Andrew this multiple times, I'd rather blow up 2 or 3 motors I built personally than sit in machine shop purgatory for about a year. So, I mean, obviously you don't want to blow anything up. It's going to be built right. It's going to, the rotating assembly, the actual crank itself is going to go out to a machine shop. It's going to get balanced. It's going to get inspected. We're going to, check over the cylinder board on the block. Obviously going to gap the rings, going to gap the actual bearings, rod and crank, and it's going to go together right. But like I said, I'd rather do it personally and test theories myself than just continue to wait. I don't like downtime. Downtime sucks.
yeah, well, it's what gets everybody unmotivated, you know. El Chapo sat for a year, and I think it was you came over and you're like, yo, why don't you just dump that thing? Yeah. And I said, f it, let's dump this thing.
We could have put a car back together at that point in time, but you had parts everywhere. Parts at this shop, parts with these people. Just dump the damn thing. Collect all the parts, sell it outright. You get burnt out on our projects, and you just move on to the next. And like, it kind of sucks instead of just enjoying it and learning, I mean, it's pretty much what this whole entire thing's about, is trying shit, you know? So.
Yeah. So we're going to blast this thing apart. I think we were way more experienced than we were when we took El Chapo apart, you know, years ago.
10 or 15 GT500s now with motors out of them, so.
Yeah, and I've personally torn apart like 40 S197 GT cars. So I'm pretty familiar with these things at this point. So we're going to roll the time lapse, get this thing out, and we're just going to go right into the engine teardown because you guys don't really need to see any specifics on the teardown unless we find something interesting. But
1035.
1035, speed run?
Speed run.
Let's do it. Time check. 158 and a TR6060. What time?
Just over 12 o'clock.
Just over 12 o'clock. Hour and a half?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, now we gotta go separate the trans, get this all knocked down. If you guys didn't know, the car already had Cook's long tubes. Stock tune. Everything else is stock. It's literally just had long tubes.
Yeah.
Stock pulley, stock everything. Catted Cook's H pipe too. So we're gonna knock the trans off, get this off of here. We're gonna make the car roller, but we're gonna tear this thing down and figure out what is smoking. Man, it's like we're pros or something, dude.
Do you know what I'm thinking about right now? Bring me back.
What you thinking about?
When you guys have the motor ready to go in on the red car, like when you picked it back up, and you had those two clowns helping you, I forget what their names are, and they had the harness all routed backwards, and I
It's
spent like fucking
so wrong.
I walked in the door at like, I don't know, 10 o'clock at night, and we fucking spent the next 2.5 hours.
Getting the harness routed correctly. Yeah.
That shit sucked.
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna drop the K member back, or the car back on the K member so we can make it a roller. Blower, Trinity blower is off over there. As far as we know, right now the plan is to still put that back on, do some fun stuff with stock blower before we go hammer this thing home with 30 pounds of boost. Just kidding, maybe, who knows. 30, dude, that's how much we were doing before, bud. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna drop the camera in on Cody. He's gonna start tearing this thing apart. I'm gonna work on that. And if he sees anything, he's gonna tell you.
You know, our nice organized apartment right now?
Oh, yes. Cody's got the organization on lock. So the plan is for the car to not be apart very long, but organization is key. If this thing sat for a year, we want to be able to pick everything up and be able to put it right back on. Even though Cody and I could probably look at a pile of bolts for these 5.4 S197 cars, and we would probably know where every bolt goes. Yeah.
It's just a lot easier. It's better than like 3 hours looking for shit. inspected it, brother. Don't.
Wait.
I don't know. I wondered the same exact thing.
What the f is that?
I don't know.
Dude, what is that?
Like I said, I don't know. I haven't got there yet. I looked.
Is there something I forgot about?
That's what I'm questioning. I mean, I know
There's holes.
in the side of the head.
Is this the f***ing oil issue?
It's hard saying, but
Well, what the fuck is...
I don't even know what it does.
You know, this isn't early production 13. Like a 2012 13. May of 12.
I don't know, bud. I saw that like right when I pulled the head off, and I was like, "This looks like some shit that I'm not privy to."
Stock bolts are not normally that tight, bro. You like crazy?
I mean, we busted off head bolts with that gun.
Woo.
Oh.
Buddy.
Yeah, there you go. Get some motors that way. You wouldn't have had a head gasket problem.
That is not stock head bolt.
I should have brought my core wrench to check and see what it would, a rough idea where it was at.
Tight. All right, so engine torn down to short block. We got some weird discovery going on in the heads. Cody and I know a good bit about these cars and pretty used to dealing with the 5.4, 5.8 Ford GT heads. And there's something that we have never seen, and we're second guessing ourselves like, what?
Either I'm gonna feel like an absolute dumbass in a minute. I mean, I know that's not no so there's a little bit of a few differences between a supercar GT head and a regular 07 to 14 GT head, even though they're both supercar GT heads. But
So these have some sort of weird, so there's almost like JB welded little like pool down there
that has some kind of insert with a straight through no line to the side of the head to vent. And then the bottom of the head has nothing there. When was this built?
So this is an early May 2012 car. So this is very early in the GT500 production. I got told that...
Why do we always gotta deal with some fuck shit, dude?
Well, I got told that this car was possibly an early production Ford demo car too.
Yeah.
So,
I
and
reached out to there's a lot of people, obviously we know just about everybody that's in this industry. So I reached out to a couple guys already and sent them some photos. So either I'm gonna feel like a dumbass here in about like 10 minutes, or
I know I'm gonna look at photos, but I know I've never seen that before in these.
I mean, I've had like, I don't even know. I mean, Jordan's Place, Todd Warren, TKM, RPG, every single set of GT500 heads that I've seen come across my hands personally, seen them on different cars. I've never seen that before. So
yeah, it's on both heads too, you know. So as to what that is, and some of the lines are like hard plastic and broke, and then some are like rubber. Like those are some that broke right there, just trying to get to the head studs. As for this stuff, we don't really know. We're gonna tear this down completely as well.
I mean, there's missed markings all over the head too, which is kind of intriguing. I keep seeing this number, and I keep seeing on the side of the cam caps too. There's numbers etched into the side of the cam caps. Markings just about everywhere, so.
It's pretty weird. All right, where are we at, Cody? We don't know. So
We get absolutely speed. You know, dig a
this goes into that, see that little puddle thing?
It's epoxy of JB Weld of some sort.
Yeah.
But that was definitely done by a manufacturer, some kind of OEM.
Well, yeah, so you see there's like an O-ring on this, and then down here, there's something going on there. And that's weird. And then that lines up with this hole right there. That hole isn't normally on anything else. So, and you can also notice all the valves, all the cylinders, they're all coated. Everything's coated in oil. What's the chances of having a ring failure and a valve seal failure on all 8?
It's not a valve seal, it's not a ring failure. You don't have.
No, it's whatever is going on there, which the theory at the current moment is that this is an early production 13 model, and someone said, hey, you know what would be sick? And just threw that together.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we haven't gone fully into the history of this car, but there's a theory that some sort of Ford executive or someone who was involved in building these cars, this was their car, and demo car, because this car is like listed as a like a Ford corporate owned vehicle. So something happened, and it is in fact the 5.8. It's Ford GT head. It's not like it's just a Navigator or anything like that. It's a true legit 5.8 car, but it's got some weird stuff going on. So we're gonna get torn into the bottom end, get the pistons, rods, crank, everything out of there, and kind of get the full scoop on all the rings and everything there. But as of right now, the theory is that whatever that is was basically sucking, because you know when you have your your combustion,
basically sucking and then
yeah, but you know you have your intake valve that opens, right, and it sucks air. You know, that's part of your whole compression. So it's also sucking through whatever that thing is, and whatever oil's in the head, it has to be pulling from there.
Yeah.
Which is weird, because you would think there'd be some sort of compression loss, maybe.
I don't know.
I don't know.
The problem is, like, that's also right around the oil valley too. Like the oil runs through the head, so like I don't know. Obviously, we're gonna wait till we get more feedback back from.
Yeah, we don't really know. Also leads to some holes that are right there. All right, guys, so it is the next day. I wanted to get the video done like yesterday and everything, but Cody and I wanted to like check and make sure we're not like forgetting something. This whole head thing has us like second guessing everything, but no, we were right. Like, we have never seen that before. Many experts have never seen that before. I just got posted on Facebook, posting in the GT500 Nation Facebook group, one of the Romeo plant builders and engine builders Facebook group, and a very specific 4654 modular Facebook group, talking with a bunch of different experts. Some never seen it before. Some were like, why the heck would they do that? And some proposing some ideas. So, and this is kind of what Cody and I originally thought, is like maybe some sort of sensor deal. Now, the best thing we can guess is that these little tubes in the head were set up to be a cylinder pressure sensor. So in order to monitor cylinder pressure as maybe you increase timing or approach the limit of timing, combined with cam, because the 1314 car's got a different set of cams. So maybe in the process of developing these heads, maybe this car were used to develop the calibration, the cams, the whatever. So very interestingly enough, those are left in this car. They were not hooked up to any sensors. And if they were, they would have had to be used with a modified intake manifold, because you can't really access where where it was threaded for a sensor to go into. Now, my friend Jason, I bought the car from, he owned this car since 17,000 miles all the way up to now 70 something thousand miles. I think it's like 72 or 70 or something like that. And the car did not smoke when he initially got it. He daily drove the car pretty much from 17,000 to 72,000. There was an issue with cats. When you got the car, it had the Watts link, which it still does, and it had Cook's long tubes. At some point, the Cook's cats clogged up, and my theory is, and after that day, they fixed the cats, and then after that day, the car always smoked. Told me for a while. We kind of bounced some ideas back and forth. I said, hey man, it's probably valve seals, rings, you know, the usual stuff. But that also led to me eventually buying the car. My theory is that these little tubes had a check valve in them. And when the cats blow up, sometimes cats clogging up can blow a motor. It's really, really bad. But that cylinder pressure probably went through the roof and probably broke whatever check ball, whatever seal, however these things were sealed inside the head, it broke, and now it was allowing oil to drain back from the head down into the combustion chamber, because we have very consistent results between all 8 cylinders on the oil. So, which isn't common. I mean, if you have a cat failure, you might have a little bit on one side or the other. If you have a valve seal failure, you know, it's usually 1 or 2 cylinders. If you have a ring failure, usually 1 cylinder. It's consistent across all 8. Very interesting. If you guys are new here, we're getting techy into the GT500 5.8, 5.4 platform, this car being a 5.8. But we've done this before, and now we're gonna get even more involved and do even more ourselves. So if you guys are new here, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and help support the channel. Leave a comment. It helps get it out to more people on YouTube, and I think this 5.4, 5.8 stuff is super cool, and these are very unique, cool cars. 5.8 liter was only a 2-year only run. And even the 5.4 from 07 to 14 has many different iterations, but it's also pretty cool, pretty rare. And it's really cool to modify and build these cars. So our next step in the process is gonna be to tear down the old 5.8 aluminum short block. So you can definitely see some carbon buildup, but otherwise don't really see anything too crazy. As far as we can tell, everything here was stock, you know, as it came at some point from, you know, Ford. Now, I also got word that this car most likely was owned by Ford corporate, at least for the first couple of years, which hence makes me think that there's something going on with these heads. Let's go ahead and hop into the short block teardown. Let's get this torn down, and let's figure out what's going on here. Because as far as we know, should have stock rods and everything else. Stock main bolts, stock side bolts, as we expected, stock. Give you guys a little close up here. You can see there's some markings on the rod bolts. These are hand assembled, so you know, something to you know, note there. So expecting to see markings here, that doesn't mean it was rebuilt at some point. We know that those heads are not your factory production line heads, but this could have been how it came originally. So what looks like to me, stock rods. So what we're just gonna do is go knock out all 8 rods and pistons, get those knocked out, and possibly pull the crank out of this. Like I told you guys, we're rebuilding this thing completely. So let's go find a 11, something like that. 12.11 mil, start knocking out all these rods. It's fairly clean. I can see a little spot. Still pretty smooth. So we're gonna continue knocking this out and note any observations we see. But yeah, you can see there's a little spot. Not catching my nail though, so nothing too concerning there yet. Rings are moving around, not seized up. Little bit of skirt wear, but not much. Little skirt wear. It's got 70-something thousand miles. A lot of carbon buildup. Don't typically see this on, you know, engines that are, you know, that I tune, that run on good fuel. That's a lot of carbon buildup. This is something you see on a 87 octane F-150 motor. So a little interesting there. You can see a little bit more of that bearing, whatever is in there. Crank nice and clean, which is the important part of this whole operation here. These are breakaway rod caps. So as you can see, when you put it back together, not saying that we're reusing these because we aren't, but they're breakaway. So see how that's totally not even? Put that back together, it's like a puzzle piece. This one's incredibly crooked though. Don't typically see them that crooked, that breakaway, but they have their partners, that's for sure. Turn the crank over a little bit. Oh wow, it turns over really easy. A lot of similar stuff, clean, minor lines, nothing that catches my my nail. And love bug. That's from sitting open for sure. Similar deal, rings freed up, looking pretty good there. Again, crank looks good, so we're happy there. All right, guys, so not too long later, we got all the rods, pistons out, crank turns over really, really smooth. I actually didn't even have to get a socket or anything to turn it over with the rods and pistons on. I don't really see anything major. Like I said, I see some minor, you know, pitting, which could have been foreign material or something that entered the oiling system at some point in its life. Or it could also be a little bit of that detonation we talked about, where with this oil entering the combustion chamber, you're going to have, you know, essentially the piston rattling, you know, spark knock and detonation from that oil stuff. One of the reasons why I didn't hammer on this car on the dyno is I knew that there's a chance that oil is in the combustion chamber. We're never going to get any sort of decent octane out of the car. You know, with that oil issue. Now, looking into the walls, it looks beautiful. All four right there. Take a look at the other side. I don't see anything wrong with using this block at all. Even in stock bore, we do a minor hone just to clean up. Some people might say, hey, why don't you sleeve it? Say, hey, $3,000 donation goes a long way, but sleeving's expensive, and you know, we're not building a race motor. We're building a fun street car. Will it go to 1,000 horsepower? Most likely. Will it go 1,300? Probably not. I think this stock sleeve should be good to 1,000, 1,100 wheel without really worrying about too much. And I had a lot of fun when El Chapo was around 1,100 wheel. I still get to hook, still get to go down on stock ECU. So I'm gonna grab the camera, change the gloves, and show you guys a little bit of what the walls look like. Okay, so taking a look, I kind of showed you guys the bearings, but there was nothing really. That's the pitting I was talking about. Could be some detonation. We pretty much expected there to be detonation due to the oiling problem. This car has been on a stock tune, as far as we know, from 17,000 miles to 70,000 miles. So stock tune, the only reason there's detonation on stock tune would be the oil entering the combustion chamber. Taking a look at these walls, you know, we got obviously a lot of oil in here, but there is Really no imperfections. I don't see any issue. You can see something right there, but that's just, it needs to be wiped off. But I just took my gloves off so I can grab my phone with a clean hand. We take a look. This thing is looking beautiful. Now, if we had some sort of ring failure, we would most likely have an indication there. Like I showed as well, all these rings are freed up. All the rings are in good shape. We don't have any foreign materials, ring material, piston material, bearing material. There's nothing in that oil pan. As far as we can tell, so far, this added port right there is leaking oil into the combustion chamber. Now, that's the working theory. We're obviously going to get these things torn down. They need a valve job at the very least. They got a lot of carbon buildup. Taking another look in here at the added, see, this tube broke off, but there's, that connects to these open outside areas where someone had to have screwed some sensors into there. Very interesting. But what we do know is the block is good for the rebuild. The heads are going to be good for a rebuild. We'll obviously do some valve seals. We'll do a valve job, and we're going to get those holes welded up. Get this thing ready for some NSR cams, rod piston deal, little head stud action, and some ARP hardware, and we'll be ready to go back in the car. My goal is to not have this car down for very long. I'm really excited to have this car and go out and cruise it and have a lot of fun with it and make some cool videos, because I know you guys really missed El Chapo, and I did too. So here we go. All right, so looking out over at these heads, pretty interesting. But we got into the block. Cody just measured the walls. Everything is looking fantastic to keep this stock bore. But one thing we noticed is this one does not have the oil squirters, which was a 5.8 only thing, right?
Yeah.
But the part number comes back to a 5.8 block. So that continues the theory that
it's got a weird number. It's kind of full, but it could have been a superseded number or some number they just threw in at the assembly line.
But it basically shows pre-production block. It doesn't have oil squirters, but it is 5.8, and these heads have whatever sort of testing, tube, cylinder pressure, sensors.
It's all the same video, correct?
Yeah.
So we were left speechless yesterday, obviously, when we pulled the heads apart, so we didn't really know what they were. And the general consensus is nobody knows what they were. So at least we know, we've talked to the biggest names in the industry, and everybody says the same thing. We have no clue what that was for, what it's people have an idea.
L&M,
yeah.
I talked to Brandon from L&M. He said that they have done something similar
Coyote.
on a Coyote on a test, a test engine.
But I mean, we were correct. It's some kind of transducer, pressure sensor, cylinder temp, oil temp, something like that. Some kind of pressure or temperature sensor. But.
Well, it doesn't really change too much, other than we just got to fix the heads. And
it's probably your oil leak. Yeah. I mean, obviously, judging by the rotating assembly.
The only thing that's not clear is, so this little hole here, it doesn't look like it's completely clear, but the car didn't smoke when it was like cold. So I'm wondering if this kind of like heated up and then the oil would basically drip down, because if you actually look inside these little holes that are here, there's some oil buildup there, and we're wondering if that was just kind of seeping down. And then obviously as oil pressure builds and temp gets up there,
especially on aluminum block, aluminum head, you got your growth on aluminum.
But yeah, you start this thing up cold, and not that I revved it super aggressively, but it wouldn't smoke at all.
Yeah. But I mean, other than the bottom end's great. I mean, all this piston to wall clearance is 035 to 040, right on target. 3681 true bore, 3682. I mean, it all measures out pretty within spec. So
yeah. So build will go on. Go ahead and comment it down below if you guys have any insight on what we think is cylinder pressure sensor setup in there. Let us know. If you guys know anyone at Ford who might know anything about this car, it's also got a weird history. I haven't gone into that, but yeah, owner number one appears to be Ford corporate. Kind of explains a little bit. So if you guys enjoy the video, make sure to hit the like button down below. Leave a comment, let us know what you think, and please share this with other friends, GT500 friends. This is one of the weirdest things I've come across on the GT500 platform, and I mean, it's kind of cool, you know, it's a little weird. You know, we got to fix it, but it's kind of cool. And if we can figure out the full story, it's going to be even more interesting. So we'll see you guys in the next one.